Okay, this is Black Desert. We're on Xbox Series X. The game is indeed optimized, but there's no actual changes to the game itself. So this was confirmed to me by the PR. So it's kind of weird, but it's the same as the Xbox One X version. It's just running backwards compatibility mode-wise. And with that, it has the same modes. So we're on the 4K Ultra. We'll switch afterwards, so this is 4K 30, and then you get like a 1080p at 60 FPS as the other option. So we'll show that because we have to restart the game, and we'll do that like at the halfway point so you can kind of see what that's looking like. But just so you kind of understand how the game's running. So it does have HDR support. It is a free-to-play MMORPG that is definitely a bit of a, I guess you could say, a grind to a degree. You know, it's kind of grindy in regards to being a melee-focused game. And it's not one that has necessarily ever run very well when it comes to the game. So just kind of keep that in mind if you're wondering why it's not perfectly rendering on here. That's just the design of it. It's... Yeah, you know what, actually, I quite enjoyed this one. I'm level 50 in it and whatnot, and, you know, I spent, like, I don't know, 30, 40 hours or something like that rolling through this one, doing the different quests and the story, and, you know, there's a lot of content they keep adding to it, and it's different classes, and the game's got, like, a very well-known character customization option, and, yeah, you know, there's a lot present in this one. It was actually one of my most popular reviews, actually, was checking out like the Xbox beta and the actual launch of the game and stuff like that. Did very well for me, but we're just kind of showing it off so you can kind of see how it's running. Now, the first thing to note is that, like, yeah, it's definitely not greatly improved in regards to, like, you know, the certain, like, slowdowns and everything like that. But I have noticed that, I guess you could say, the pop-in seems to be handled a little bit better, I guess you could say. We're gonna show that off here once we get moving, and it does kind of seem to keep a little bit more fluid in its design. I just thought it was kind of a really fascinating one, just in terms of, you know, the fact that it's optimized, but there's actually not any sort of real change. I guess we can throw up our kind of creepy guy. Hello there, monstrous little buddy. So he's somebody that follows you the whole time, basically. He's like your guardian creature monster thing. I don't know how else you would describe it. He's some kind of twisted monster thing from beyond, and yeah, there's a whole story element of how he sort of comes into your sphere of existence and what he matters, like how he matters to you is just kind of interesting. But yeah, you get all these different things. You got your inventory, and then you've got your like mount inventory and stuff. Sorry, there's just like so much kind of complexity to sort of show off here, and then you got your character, and you can see your stats, and there's options to escape if you're having problems and everything. Different like gifts, you know, and there's quite a bit of content to it, and it is like a pretty big map, I guess you could say. Like it's a large area that is pretty beautifully detailed. At least in my opinion, it's got some nice kind of visual options, and there's lots of cool. We're not wanting to show off these, but there's lots of cool. Oh, sorry, I brought this thing up again. There's so many different cool hotkey type things that you can set up, and different things you can do, and the armor dyes you can make, and the places you can explore. It's just kind of fascinating. I also like the movement system in regards to combat. It's just kind of neat, the sort of combinations you can make. But as you can tell, it's still this is not running at its absolute best. So yeah, it's just kind of, it's interesting. That's the main draw here that I'm trying to get across, is that I find this kind of fascinating because it still is running like this. And again, we haven't shown off the, I guess you could call it a performance mode yet. But yeah, it's just kind of running at this state. You're seeing like the pop-in, but it doesn't seem as like aggressively bad, I guess you could say, which is sort of good. It's still, we're getting like drops and stuff, but it's kind of neat. I also want to mention I get to go to their cool, like, into the abyss type thing every year, which is kind of fun, and they do that at E3. Well, I guess I didn't get to do it this year, but yeah, it was just kind of neat. And it, again, visual quality options are under the actual HDR tab. Why does it back me out of that when I actually go to jump in there? That drives me crazy. And you just get so many different ring options, and there's different, like, I don't know what you describe them as, like task type things you can do, which is nice. Okay, so I was gonna switch there, but I realized that I should probably show off. I don't want to give you a rest. I should probably show off a little bit of actual riding. Come on. There we go. So that you can see the game being sort of pushed further, and you can do, like, I guess you could say auto run. But this should kind of push things a bit more intensely. It looks like little bits of screen tearing are present as well. Because I just want to make sure that you are getting sort of the full look at how this is running and how it's kind of moving and stuff like that. And if you're curious about bringing your horse mount up or doing those other tasks, it's basically left trigger and then up on the D-pad, so you get all these options that are, you know, present there. And there you got like your pet thing too. Lots of different combat zones. So basically the gist of this game is moving from area to area, slashing down monsters. There's sometimes little side quest things you can do, which are kind of fun. Like, it has its moments. Again, I did kind of enjoy it, but looking here and just how it's running, it's like, this one could have used some more optimization type work, because it's a little, it's not perfect, and I think we maybe should be able to get it there this generation. You know, I think with more work done on it, it should be able to reach that point. But it does seem to actually legitimately be running better than it did on the One X in terms of performance and things popping in. And I know it hasn't been the best display of that, but I just want you to keep in mind that this really is something that did not run well. Not in the slightest, that's for sure. But I think at this point, we're going to do our switch over so that you can see the other mode in action, and we're going to kind of head back to where we were so that you can see the difference there. So off, and then I have to exit. Okay, so we reset the game, and now we're getting the much smoother, more fluid sort of option to showcase the game, keeping in mind that I have been here a few seconds, kind of getting the recording starting, so most of the stuff in the environment loaded. But when you kind of start this game, the textures kind of take a second to pop in. But yeah, let's just start by riding Spotty, just like we did kind of on the way to get here, just so you can see again the difference in kind of how it renders things, and then again getting back into the whole combat element of things. And you can auto run too, which is kind of a nice feature. Are you going to auto run? There we go. It's not going very fast. I guess we'll just manually do it. But yeah, again, it's still got the same sorts of like poppin' and that, right? Like, it's just it's like this on like every platform too. Just in regards to like how it sort of runs and how it presents itself. Like, it's a lovely looking game, you know, visually. I think the trees, the characters, the customization of the characters, the character creators, like super, I don't want to say it's unmatched, but it's pretty amazing. And then you get into here and you're kind of like, well, why is it like this? And that's just sort of the gist of it. Give rest. I think I could give you a carrot and then you will be happy. Enter. I want to give you the carrot. Ah, whatever, we'll just ride this thing a bit more. No, I want to switch over. Ugh, it drives me crazy, this, how they've done this wheel. Drives me absolutely crazy. You know, I'm pressing Y. Switch over. Ugh, jeez, okay. Unbelievable. Anyways, like I was saying, like the character customization and stuff looks great. When you run into characters in like the market, you talk to them, you say hello, that looks good too. It's just when you are like running through the world or even like slightly going through the world, you can tell that you know, there's just like lots of like pop in, a lot of like visual hiccups here or there. But I want to remind you that this does come across as a bit better than how it was, you know, just running off the 1X in terms of kind of how stuff's loading in. It does look a little bit better. So with this being an MMORPG, and I don't know if I've really covered the story content a lot. Like there's a story here, but it's not really a whole lot of a story, if that makes sense. It's just kind of, I don't know, it is what it is. I think this was the point where we were running back, so we're gonna do that now. Okay, you know, you do your thing, Horizon. I'll come back later. We'll do the running now, so you can see how that's kind of loading and everything like that as we're running across the landscape. But yeah, the pop-in is just absolutely nasty in regards to like the loading and everything like that. It's not great. And the story, because like I keep getting sidetracked by kind of looking at the visuals here. There's so many different like little subtales and stuff, and you're just kind of going through it. I didn't really notice a whole lot of a story or anything really going on in this one. It's kind of just slashing things and doing the typical traditional MMORPG elements. And then the game changes a lot once you get to the certain level threshold, where things become like an end game type content, I guess. But you know, there's different regions you can go to, different places you can explore. It does have, you know, a decent amount of variation within its content and its enemies, and it's just like, you know, it kind of is fun. It's just, can you stomach sort of how it runs and the style of the gameplay? That's really up to you and the type of, you know, MMORPG experience that you want on the console. But let's, you know, show off the combat here so you can see that in action, just some of the intensity, the slashing. Again, like, I don't know if this shows up on the YouTube, but there's like light bits of like little screen tearing that shows up, but not too often. But you get it sometimes when you're going through certain areas. And it does seem like there's like some like drops here or there in regards to like the frame rate and all that. It's just very fascinating, because again, you know, it's optimized. Like, if it says it's optimized, so that must just be like some sort of just toggle that they sort of switched to have that option on the platform, which, you know, it's smart. They're allowed to do that. It's just interesting, you know, the PR immediately was just like, yeah, there's nothing different about this one. It's got the same, it inherits the same modes from the Xbox One X release of the thing, so that's kind of neat. But I hope you kind of get the gist of, you know, how it's running, which is the main part of this, and maybe get an idea of what the game is like. This really is kind of it. You know, you go and you slash, and, you know, there's like all these different like guild type things you could do in different parties, and there's usually other players everywhere. It's a bit disappointing they didn't put more time into doing like development, considering they're still making it available. At the same time, I guess I can kind of get why. And yes, it's very similar to this on other console platforms too, because I did check out the PS4 version of it as well when that released, and it's kind of in the same state, I guess you could say. But it is good that they were taking the initiative to release on the console platforms to provide another game. You know, it's always great to have more options, more choices, more different things to play. In regards to like the designs and different types of genres out there, I think it's kind of neat. And again, it's quite gorgeous when you're just sort of, you know, taking in the visuals and stuff. It's just, there's something about like how it runs and that really kind of isn't the best. I'm sure you could tell that. Oh, I actually died. Oh no, I was killed by Fat Kishman. Fat Cat Fishman. Jeez. Item does not exist. Oh, I guess I gotta go to the nearest town. Unbelievable. But that's Black Desert on Xbox Series X. And yes, it loads a little bit faster, but it still takes a while because a lot of it is like server reliant, I guess you could say, because it's an online game. It's not really just a local thing. But yeah, you gotta see how it just like loads in when you're in this town and stuff like that. It's very interesting. But yeah, I hope you kind of got an idea of what it looks like, how it runs, what it provides, and some cool things like that. And I got my bedazzled glasses. Ooh, Thunderstrike. That's a pretty cool name. Is that a blimp up there? Jeez. They definitely have added content since I've been on, though.